up, y'all? Ranger here. As you most likely know, the Mario Kart series tends to repeat track themes. Whether it be a terrain, like snow or desert, or a location, like Bowser's Castle. Through this, we get to see how certain themes evolve over time. I mean, imagine a Mario Kart without a Rainbow Road. Out of the 145 tracks, I was able to put 101 of them into a category. Going over them real quick, we have 11 Mario circuits, 12 Bowser's Castles, 11 beach and water themes, 11 ice and snow themes, 8 Rainbow Roads, obviously, 10 non-Mario circuits, 9 ghost themes, 6 desert themes, 8 grass themes, 7 jungle themes, 5 city themes, and 3 stadiums. Now today, I want to go over the most basic one, Mario Circuit, and see how it has evolved over time. Let's get into it. Let's start with Super Mario Kart, and wow, this is basic. Pretty much round, except one of the devs decided to take a bat to it. To be fair, this is a good layout for being the first track in the game. After your first turn, you are greeted to a straightaway, with coins in it. After you take another turn, you have your first encounter with items. From there, it's really just turns. There are some types in the way for obstacles as well. This one is so simple, in fact. A lap literally takes 20 seconds to complete. For a tutorial track, this one is great. For a track to be replayed, on the other hand, it's very short and boring, and therefore isn't really the best. Now let's take the same track and scribble all over it. Yeah, this is what it is from here on out. Mario Circuit 2 is a very interesting one with many turns, the introduction of oil slicks, and a freaking jump, which I honestly love. Mario Circuit 3 is one with a huge straightaway, and this. It overall reminds me of a weird command symbol. Mario Circuit 4. It almost looks like they took 3, flipped it, and made it look even more broken. I don't really understand the thought process behind this one, but it's still fun due to all the turns and obstacles. Now these are all good tracks. Even if when you put them all next to each other, you can still tell which one is one. Also, let's talk aesthetic for a moment. The track itself is pavement and the off-road is sand, which really screams, this is a racetrack. The background is standard with the yellowish sky, and compared to future ones, it's definitely something. Finally, I want to bring up the music. I think the Mario Circuit theme in this game is a classic, and it really feels like a Mario theme, with very happy and bubbly music. My overall review for the first Mario Circuits, it's not bad at all. Some of them are very, very standard, but they're not bad. Now let's talk about 64s. But Ranger, there's no Mario Circuit in 64. Mario Raceway is the same thing, let's go with it. Now, this track in my opinion is nothing really special. If you look at the map, there's nothing I can really say about it. Comparing it to Super Mario Kart aesthetically, they switched the sand for grass, except for this one part, and the sky is blue now. The hills and trees also went from the background to on the track. Pretty neat. Now, as for the additions in this one, in the background there's an audience stand. They made the main walls this yellow and red checkered pattern. There's signs now like Shot, Nintendo, Mario Star, Luigi's Koopa Air, Yoshi, and
Go!
I really like these. They're cool. Finally, let's talk about the pipe. It's alright. Mario Kart Wii, they actually gave it a purpose. Okay. Also, quickly, I want to bring up the Raceway theme and say, it fits. I think that N64's is a bit bland from a gameplay perspective, but from an aesthetic point of view, it's not bad, and I would probably go to say it looks pretty cool. Moving on to Super Circuit, I'm not surprised this one is basic. Since this is also flat and boring, we'll mainly be talking about aesthetic changes. First of all, because this is Super Circuit, the hills are gone. The road has lines in it now, making it look more like an actual road. And as for the off-road, they did something interesting. They took the 3 off-road terrains, sand, light grass, and hill grass, and layered it. Interesting choice, honestly. Now, as for the background, it's its own thing. They decided to go for a nice, hilly, woodsy look, which really sets it apart from other Mario circuits. I like it. I like uniqueness. The interesting part of this one, though, is the split at the end, which you can take for a boost. Also, just like the track itself, the theme, or more the music, is basic. Nothing special. Overall, while bland, this one is alright. Now here's where we get into the good stuff. GCN Mario Circuit. The track isn't flat and boring anymore. The layout has a decent amount of turns, which is always nice, and a couple of straightaways. Now what makes this one better than those that came before it is the obstacles. After 2 turns, you come across this Chain Chomp, which, I don't know, I want to give him a name. Chompers? Yeah, Chompers. You come across Chompers, who gives you 2 options. 1, take the turn inward and risk a bite from Chompers, but you'll be able to get around this turn faster and save time. Or 2, go around him and be slower on the turn. I love obstacles like this. It really adds some strategy into what you're planning your next turn to be. What a good boy. Next up, you come across 3 piranha plants, which, on this straightaway, you will need to weave around. After that, and a few more turns, you'll have to go through this bumpy section with Goombas, adding more tension. Finally, on the home stretch, you will have to shoot down the middle of 2 piranha plants, who, if you're not careful, could screw over the lap or even the race for you. This makes the track so much more fun and exciting. Now, let's talk about the looks. The grass is almost like an updated one from Super Circuit. There's a cameo from N64's walls at the beginning, and Peach's Castle makes an appearance for the first time. I also like how it says Mario in giant letters right here, as it also has a tunnel, which I really just see as an updated pipe in my opinion, and it introduces 2 new terrains, such as stone with these bridges, and a dirt road. I could go on and on about this track, but it would probably take the entire video. Now, let's talk about the circuit music real quick. Just like 64's, I kind of see it as it fits. To be honest, now that I think about it, all the Mario Circuit themes kind of feel just like a generic it fits kind of theme. So this is the last time I'm going to mention it. Personally, I think that this is the biggest improvement for Mario Circuit by far, and it makes for an extremely fun track. So, DS. I
touched on this one briefly in my Retro Track Ideas video, but didn't say much about it due to it being one of the more simple ones in that video. Here, I'm going to go over it in much greater detail. First of all, I do have to give this one props for being the only one to not take place in the game's Flower Cup. Like, come on. Anyway, my overall impressions on this one is that it's interesting. It feels like a weird mix of N64 and GCNs, which is both a good and bad thing. Let's start with the bad and get to the good. The bad part is that it, like 64, for the most part it feels like it went back to its roots and feels basic, flat, and boring, for the most part. The other N64 related thing here is these piranhas, which feel weird in the same track next to these piranhas. Speaking of these piranhas, instead of taking a bite out of you like in previous ones, these guys shoot fire, which is an interesting change that I do really like. Also, they brought back the Goombas and the dirt road. They also decided to take the pipe from 64 and the tunnel from GCN and form the pipe tunnel. My overall impressions is that it's really just N64 and GCN's Mario circuits combined, and it creates a very peculiar but alright track. Now on to Wii and why. Okay. What compelled Nintendo to look at Figure 8 Circuit and say, well, this is it, throw a Mario in their 11 out of 10 track? Seriously. In its defense, it's not that bad. One of the most boring tracks in Wii, but not really bad. They brought back the Goombas for round 3, and they brought back Chompers! Never mind, 11 out of 10 track. All jokes aside. Chompers here acts a little differently, actually. He lunges into the middle of the track, which means you either have to go underneath him, if somebody else gets screwed over before you, or just go around the normal way. I think this is probably a better use for him. Or if you don't want to deal with him at all, you can just zip onto this little boost pad that I recommend a mushroom, else you're gonna look like this. And just go over him, I guess. Now, let's talk about the visuals. To me, it really just feels like more GCN, even has a tunnel. But there are two differences I want to point out. One, the track is always pavement instead of the multi-terrain, but has arrows on the pavement this time. And two, while yes, the castle did return, we now have a freaking town surrounding it. This is usually overlooked, but if you really just take in the scenery as you're driving through, it's actually really pretty to look at. In my opinion, it's standard and pretty for the first part. Not a bad track. Mario Kart 7's Mario Circuit is one I do really like. Starting off, they added this really pretty part with these trees that sprinkle petals onto the track, creating a nice scenery. Then, you go off a mushroom from Mushroom Gorge, which is a very nice addition. After that, you know Peach's castle? The castle that you've been driving past for the past 3 games? Well, it has evolved into part of the track. You now have to take a loop inside of it. When you exit it, you go off with a hang glider and have the option to be carried up by these pipes shooting air, which you can use to propel yourself. I find this an awesome feature and a great use of the pipes. On this part too, there are Goombas, which are always nice. We also have the return of the pipe tunnel from DS. And there's the bump at the end from GCN. Overall, great track. No complaints. Looks really good, and I'm glad they used the castle for once. Mario Kart 8's Mario Circuit. This track boggles my freaking mind. It's a figure 8, but you drive on the other underside too? Such a weird yet cool design. Now, the problem is that there isn't much stuff in the track compared to other Mario Circuits before. Yeah, there's the occasional Goomba or Piranha plant, which do serve as decent obstacles, and they added Goomba stacks, as well as a glider pad. It definitely makes up for it though in the layout, being by far the most interesting one to drive on overall. But with its compact size and the fact that you have to drive on it twice in a lap, makes it to where you'll be taking a lot of shorter turns during the race, which is always fun. Now, for the aesthetics, I don't know what to say. It's not really different than others that came before it. The only real thing I could point out that's different and special to it is the wooden bridge. But that's about it. This is an interesting track, lacking in obstacles, but having plenty of turns and fun to be had.
Overall, this is how I see the track had evolved. We started with pretty normal tracks, one of them being the quote-unquote tutorial track for the series, that set the feel for a racetrack interpreted in a Mario game. Went to another simple track with a few additions aesthetically, but still felt like a basic racetrack. Went back to a flat one, taking place in a more woodsy area, and having this cool split. All of it evolved into a great track with well-placed obstacles, new terrain, and a modern take on some old elements. And only the best boy, Chompers. Then dying down to one that feels like a mix of the previous two ones. Then a figure 8 circuit with a town. Going to another great evolution with new mechanics, a unique design, and letting you drive in a new location. Finally, going back to a figure 8, but adding a new twist to it, literally. In other words, it started bland, as expected, stayed that way for about 2 games, then had a huge leap in quality, then died down, and then died down again in quality, had a great quality boost, then died down one more time, but added a new spin on it. Very interesting progression, I'd say. If they ever make a Mario Kart 9 though, please make it like the Mario Circuit in Double Dash or Mario Kart 7. That would be awesome. Now, we like to have fun here on the channel. With that, I am going to throw in a short ranking segment into here so you can get a feel for how I see each one compared to each other. Starting at number 11, I have SNES Mario Circuit 1. It's good for a tutorial track, but its simplicity makes it so boring to be replayed. Number 10 is GBA's Mario Circuit, because it's still flat and boring, but has a far more unique design for obvious reasons. Number 9 is N64 Mario Raceway, because it has nothing really to offer obstacle-wise, but it gets above the other two tracks due to it being in 3D and having hills. From there, number 8 is SNES Mario Circuit 3, number 7 is Circuit 4, and number 6 is Circuit 2. I made it 3, 4, and then 2 because 3 is definitely more interesting, like, track-wise, compared to 64. Circuit 4 is just Circuit 3 but better, And Circuit 2 gets above the other two because although it's more simplistic, like, turn and, like, design-wise, it has a jump, which adds a lot more dimension to the track, and therefore I just see is better. Afterward, DS's Mario Circuit takes number 5 because it feels like N64's, but has a lot more meat to it, with Goombas and Piranhas. Then I would have to say Wii Circuit at number 4. Because, well, it's a figure 8, but it has more obstacles and stuff compared to the ones before. Number 3 is Mario Kart 8's Mario Circuit because it's just Wii's, but has a more unique twist to it. Number 2 is Mario Kart 7's because the design is very unique and has very interesting, never-before-seen stuff. Finally, number 1 has to go to GCN's Mario Circuit. I put it here because this is what I see as the definition of a great Mario Circuit. It's multi-terrain, has great obstacles like Goombas on the bumps, Piranha plants, and of course, my boy Chompers. And they use them great and strategically. This is definitely my favorite out of the 11. Just know that this is my opinion, and you might think differently. If so, tell me your thoughts in the comments, and I'll be happy to reply with my thoughts. So that was the evolution of Mario Circuit. Tell me what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. And please, share this with people who you think would enjoy this video as well, so that we can get more attention to the video and grow the channel, basically. It really helps me as a creator get more viewers and keep things going and be motivated to produce content. Check out my other series, such as my previous Mario Kart video, as well as Code Mario Galaxy, a series where I go through Mario Galaxy, but with cheat codes. Follow me on Twitter, I'll leave the link in the description, and join my Discord server, where I always update you guys on new videos and new things coming out, as well as just having the ability to chat with me. This was Ranger the Warrior, and I will see y'all next time.